Good afternoon to you, wherever you are. Welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global TV, Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. That's what we do Monday to Friday. We bring to you typical issues that have direct bearing to the country. The call for the establishment of state policing in Nigeria has gained some level of national attention with mixed feeling. Some are of the opinion that it will help to tackle the position in the country, and of course, it will help to find a lasting solution to the current security crisis in the country. My guest with me is Barrister Max Oga, a political analyst, will be helping us to find lasting solution to this. All kinds of criminal gangs ranging from Boko Haram, Islamic sect, to bandit, Fulani hitmen, militant, unknown government, and most recently the kidnapping has been on the increase, especially in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Nigerian says security, which is one of the primary responsibility of government, is no longer guaranteed. From east to west, north to south, the story is the same. And we are asking for state policing. My guest in the studio, once again, is Barrister Max Oga. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Global Team.
Now, let's go straight. The call for state policing is on the increase. What's your take on that?
Well, I have campaigned, I've appeared in television and radio stations. I've granted print media houses interviews on the issue of state policing. And my position has been against state policing for several reasons. But I think at this point, like Senator Kleiner did yesterday, I have to join the queue in support of state policing, a position which is contrary to a position I've held for over 10 years in the past, that state policing will not help us because of a myriad of issues such as funding and, of course, abuse by governors in the same manner that they have abused independent state electoral commissions or committees, as the case may be. But following the reality today, the state and spate of insecurity, I have to alter my position by supporting state policing. I feel that if the government of the day takes the same position with what previous governments had taken, there may be a conclusion in some quarters that the government of the day is in support of the malice that is going on, or it is insensitive to read. So let's support it and see how things pan out.
You expressed the fear that state governors were going to hijack. What level of hijacking? Because as it is now, police in various states still take some certain instructions from the state governors. It looks it's going to be extremely like a boy tool.
No, but the governors will tell you that they are not in charge of the police commands in their states. Even though when they have issues, when they have political issues, you see police people pandering to them, tilting towards them. But when it comes to addressing issues of insecurity, the governors will tell you, look, we're not in charge. Like the former Commissioner of Police, FCT, Lawrence Ikwalubi, said that a policeman who knows his onions will not wait for instructions from the headquarters in Abuja to act when something is happening in his division or in his command. But you hear a lot of these governors who have failed in what they are elected to do. You hear them tell you, or you hear them say, oh, look, the police commissioners take instructions from Abuja, from the IGP, before they act. And that to me is strange. If a community in a particular command or in a particular division is in crisis, to the best of my knowledge, the police moves in. I've never had where a divisional police officer will say, oh, look, until we get clearance from Abuja before we move in. No, I've never had that. But governors will always tell you that commissioners of police only act after being directed by force headquarters and some other authorities in Abuja before they act. That cannot be right. So let's have the state police. Let's see the magic that these governors will do in terms of restoring security and sanity in our respective states.
Yeah, you talked about the commissioner of police. I'm sure commissioners will have to wait for Abuja to give directives, but DPOs in various local government and formation will have to embark on it after getting clearance from the commissioner. It's still boiled down to Abuja. But let's see, it looks like if we have state policing, I am looking at it will be more closer to the people. I remember the last time I hosted the secretary of Plateau House of Assembly. He did say that it is proper for indigenes of a particular environment, they have an edge over others who are not from in that area in terms of policing or carrying out their security.
No, look. If the concern is that we must have people who come from certain communities, from certain areas to secure their people, then we don't necessarily need the police that will be established and set up by state governments and funded by state governments. We can recalibrate what we have already, right? We can recalibrate what we have already so that the Police Service Commission and other authorities involved and concerned with posting of policemen will post people only to their states of origin. But remember, there's also a flip side of that. When someone who is from a particular locality is policing in that locality, the issue of familiarity and all of that with people will somehow and in some way affect the performance of that person's duty. So once again, at the risk of being verbose, if the concern is that those strangers cannot police a particular area very well, and we need indigenes to police their indigenes, to police the areas where they come from, then we can tinker with the arrangement we have on ground already through posting and all of that, and we'll achieve the same results. What I've noticed is that a lot of us do not have solutions to the challenges we face. We only theorize, right? In the time past, when we hit so much by issues of insecurity, the sing-song in town was, change the service chiefs, as if that was a magic wand. Change the service chiefs. Now everybody say, look, give us state policing. As if as soon as you create police authorities for the states, owned by the states, controlled by the states, as if all of the issues in Cross River, in Abia, in Adamawa, in Zamfara, in Ekiti, in Lagos, in Benue will disappear overnight. No. We need to think deeply of solutions to these problems. We're just scratching the surface of this issue.
From the writing on the wall, especially extracting from the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, who said there is likelihood that the meeting between His Excellency the President and state governors on the creation of a state policing is likely to happen. How soon do you think this will happen now that insecurity is a major challenge in the country? Should we delay and perhaps should it be sent to the National Assembly? Would they take time to set up committees to look into this?
Well, the process of amending the Constitution is already in the pipeline. Of course, in every assembly, we amend our Constitution under the headship of the Deputy President of the Senate and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. So for this assembly, that process is on, and I would suggest that the issue of state policing be put on the front burner and given prime attention, so that we saw this early enough and put this behind us.
Do you think this is an answer to the crisis in the country?
Well, I cannot say with mathematical exactitude that this will be an answer to the problem. But one cannot conclude without taking steps. It may work in some climes, depending on the seriousness and commitment of the governor of of a particular state. I do not know, in the event that we tinker with Section 153 of the Constitution, which creates the Nigeria Police and other law enforcement agencies recognized by law. In the event that we tinker with that within the next 1-2 months, I do not know if state governments will have the requisite resources to recruit, train, and deploy police personnel. So we begin to see results coming from them. I don't know. So there are a whole lot of issues involved. I listened to a certain Mr. Amakri yesterday, a retired personnel of the Department of State Services, DSS. You know, and he said, state police, that is not compulsory that every state must have its own police force. He mentioned, he referenced the United States of America, and he said he mentioned a certain state in America. He said that state does not have a state police. So I foresee a situation where some governors may want to hide on that. So we do not have enough resources to run these. Then a few states which will take the bull by the horn. Maybe along the lines, they will say, look, are we not being cheated? Why is it that the federal government is funding the police that is servicing other states, then we are funding our own? You know, so these are issues which we must all come together to address. The way Nigeria is structured, we must have this state police. I think we should have the same takeoff point. All the states must get involved. We shouldn't make it optional. No, we shouldn't make it. If we make it optional, a few states that will pick up the baton to run will drop the baton before you say global TV.
Midday Discourse right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. We are looking at the call for state policing. There are confirmed reports that His Excellency, the President, who met with some governors, may have given the approval for the creation of state policing. Now, the question is, does the state have such resources? Or they will still have to fall back to the federal?
Well, well, I don't want to demarcate my state, but
no, tell us more about your state.
There was a news item sometime last week that civil servants carried out a protest in the office of the secretary to the state government, in my state capital, on account of lack of payment of salaries, right? And here we are talking of training people how to use firearms, arming the people, and having the people not being paid for 2-3 months. What do you think will happen? You know, we must address all of these issues. Remember that the immediate past administration, under the headship of General Muhammadu Buhari, had to bail out our states for the state to be able to pay salaries. So these issues have not gone away. They are still with us. Right? So how we will establish, fund, and functionally manage this state police, I think it's something we need to sit down and critically look at, so we don't create another monster in the course of trying to solve a problem. Sincerely speaking, I have my yes, a few states with good earnings from FAC and from the IGR, internally generated revenue, may be able to do this. States like Rivers, Akwa Ibom,
Lagos.
Yes.
What of Cross River?
Well, like I said, let me not demarcate. Let me not demarcate my state.
Okay, let's look at you. So it means the option of state willing to take this and looking at the burden ahead of them, they could as well say, no, we want our state to be managed or to be controlled, or we still want the federal government to provide police because this is a big burden. Don't you think such options should be on a level playing ground for state to decide?
Yes. In one hand, that would be a good thing to do. But remember that we are going to amend the Constitution. Now, where you have federal and state police, right, the federal police will be restricted to investigating and prosecuting for federally recognized offenses, right? While the state police will be responsible for investigating and prosecuting for state offenses, right? Murder in the south, manslaughter in the south, culpable homicide punishable with death in the north, culpable homicide not punishable with death in the north, theft in the north, stealing in the south. These are all state offenses, right? So now, how are you going to have it? Are you going to say, okay, Rivers State will have a state police force, so the Rivers police force will investigate and prosecute for state offenses. Then you go to Cross River, for instance. You say, oh, in Cross River, the federal police will continue with investigation and prosecution for state offenses. There will be some form of confusion. Do you understand? There will be some form of confusion. Then we'll get to a point where what happens in polygamous families, like the type I come from, will happen where you hear somebody say, no, I cannot carry the burden alone, which is our joint responsibility. Why will I be expending XYZ amount every month running a state police while a sister state or a neighboring state is depending wholly and entirely on the federal government? So we'll have issues again. So we need to avoid what would take us into a situation that looks like the torn gown parable, where as you are trying to mend one end, that is torn, you see a bust in another in another end. So we don't need to be in a hurry. Much as I wish and desire that this insecurity problem be solved as early as yesterday. That is figurative. I wish that it be solved as early as yesterday. But let's be careful. I desire that we expeditiously put this behind us. But let's be careful so we don't make mistakes, so we don't go forward and backward. Because right now, a lot of people are making these agitations without counting the cost, without considering the implications. Again, I will refer you to Mr. Lawrence Alobi, CPFCT retired, or CP retired. He was CP of the FCT. In a television program, years back, he said funding for the police is not an easy task. He said it is an uphill task. That this goes beyond periodically buying vehicles for the police, like you see state governments do. And it costs a lot. Salaries, kitting of policemen, and all of that. And if you employ people, put them on the streets there, and you're not paying them, then what we complain about, the extortion we complain about, the last time I was here, I told you what happens on our highways and all of that. So you are going to increase the number of people who will be doing that. If Benue State, for instance, has its police force, Cross River State has its state police force. So you have policemen from the state police force, you have policemen from the federal or from the Nigerian police force, all on the roads, and everybody collecting what he or she wants to collect. So that will be double wahala for travelers.
Barrister, but can't we have a situation where it will look like a kind of a combined service, a kind of a rendering the same service where both the state and the federal are working hand to hand for the main objective, which is securing the entire country?
No, that's what it should be. Like you hardly can transit from one state to the other without, for instance, seeing one Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, or Nigerian immigration checkpoint. Right? Now, they work for our collective interest. Right? The police has also been working in that manner. But now there's an agitation for the creation of state police. So I am not the one advocating for it. I only said I am changing my position to coast along with Those who are saying, let's have state police, it will solve our problems. I've told you before that some people think that this is state police will be a magic one. It will not be. It will not be. We may end up creating more problems. Look at our state Independent Electoral Commission. Have you heard, correct me, except Kaduna and outside Kaduna, if you have heard of any state where the State Electoral Commission conducted local government elections and any party other than the party that is in charge of the affairs of that state won one seat, please don't invite me to your station again if you have evidence of this. So the same thing is likely to happen. Someone said on air this morning that imagine what happened in Edo State with the APC primaries. Then imagine that one of those people who perhaps one of the governorship aspirants who perhaps was responsible for deploying talks to go and disorganize the collation of results. That imagine that one of such persons becomes a governor and he has the police under his control and the person is seeking a second term. Imagine what the police that is under his control would do. Now, our fears may be unfounded. Our fears may not come to manifestation. But we cannot wish up these fears. So let's put all of these in a basket and discuss them and find control mechanisms that will make sure these abuses that we are afraid of or these abuses that we fear do not take place. And state governors must also be told that the time for security votes just being, in common parlance, jara for them is up. That time is up. What is meant for security henceforth should truly be used for security. You don't just dip your hands, take everything because security votes are not to be accounted for. You just take everything, expend, and you leave the people you have employed as state police unpaid. You create more criminals because you're going to train people how to fire rifles. So if you don't pay them, they will use those rifles for something else. We must avoid this. Let's not run away from a pond and we can plunge ourselves into an ocean.
Barrister Max Oga right here with us on the program Midday Discourse on Global TV, Nigeria's capital city. We are taking a look at the cry of state policing. Barrister, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
is it that the governors, should we change the governors? Should we have a kind of orientation so that the governors do not put the state police in their pockets?
If you change the governors, who do you want to bring? Are you going to bring Americans? Are you going to bring Britons?
Can the Constitution?
Now, before you even land on that question, look, our problem in this country is not paucity of laws. We have very good laws, but the problem is the implementation. And we are all used to finding a way of circumventing these laws. So it is not the laws. Until we are prepared to be committed to changing this country, we will not change the country. Look, you and I are talking the way we are talking here, perhaps because we have not had the opportunity of being there. We know people who spoke like this, but when they had the opportunity of being there to make things happen, they started singing different songs. I know someone who was a leader of the Nigerian Bar Association, who, while he was a leader of the Nigerian Bar Association, advocated for the independence of state assemblies and local governments and all of that. The person became a governor and he was very slow at implementing what he advocated before he became a governor. I know if someone was a Speaker of the House of Representatives and everybody was hailing him because of the position he was always taking, that person became a governor in this country. And it was difficult for him to support independence of state legislatures and local governments and state houses of assembly. Right? So we are very good at theorizing. But once we are in a position to implement that which we advocated for, before we got to a position where we can implement, we change our songs. I know someone who became the Attorney General of the Federation. He was also the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. And he said, hey, let us separate the office of the Minister of Justice from that of the Attorney General of the Federation. When he became the Attorney General of the Federation, in Obasanjo's government, your colleagues asked him in an interview, do you still hold the position you held way back? He said, now I know better. That what I was saying, or what I said earlier, is not realistic. So these are the issues we have. So I'm saying all of this to answer the question you have asked. Oh, if we can rejig our laws to make sure there are no abuses of state police that will be created and all of that, no matter how beautifully crafted our laws will be, those who will abuse these things will still abuse them. The way they abuse our procurement processes and all of that. They find a way of circumventing the whole thing to be able to help themselves. And you and I help them. We don't care how a man becomes a governor, whether people died in the process of the election. So long as we are concerned the man is a governor and we have something to gain from him, we start calling him beautiful names, digital, this, that, your excellency. So we create a problem. And we demonize those who lost. Right? Oh, everybody goes for an aspirant that has money. We call them aspirants with capacity. We don't ask how they made this money. We don't ask who is sponsoring them. And whoever pays the piper, as you know, dictates the tune. So if an aspirant collects money from one millionaire or billionaire somewhere, be rest assured that that person is the one who will control the affairs of the state. But are we ready to support those who have something to offer but do not have money to throw around? Are we ready to support anyone who is not ready to give us rice during campaign, who is not ready to give us Indomie, sachets of Indomie, not even cartons? Are we ready? We're not ready. But our laws, we have laws which provide for laws which are against monetizing campaigns or compromising people. But how many people have been punished? Except of recently, where a PDP governorship candidate in one of the southwestern states is being prosecuted for attempting to buy votes and voters. In the time past, we have these things in our laws, but no step has been taken.
Are you ready for the state policing? The question is on the lips of many Nigerians. The program is Midday Discourse right here on Global TV. Our guest is Barrister Max Oga. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll find answers to some of these questions. Moving Nigerian forward is our plan, and insecurity is the cry of every Nigerian, so we need a solution. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll go straight to the program Midday Discourse right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Don't go away. Glad to have you back on the program Midday Discourse right here on Global TV Abuja. Following the insecurity situation, there have been renewed calls for state policing across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with some governors in his office talking about the villa, the presidential villa, and the writing on the wall shows that they are hoping and planning to consider that. Minister of Information says that there is what we call a pipeline that state policing will soon be on the table in Nigeria. One man who is looking at the possibility, the chances, the bad and the good of having this is Barrister Max Oga, right here with us in the studio. Barrister, let's come back again. Having discussed with the state government, don't you think the president may have warned them that you must commit yourself, that you won't use this state police as tools? Don't you think they have such a understanding and they will say, Mr. President, we will not?
Wait, there's no warning from the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Could you be stronger and more potent than the oath of office which these governors took? They all swore to defend the constitution, but how faithful, right? How faithful, I mean, have these governors been in terms of defending the constitution? I mean, so the president, anybody can say anything to the president. Anybody can say yes to the president, and after that, they do what they want to do. Even the children that we give birth to, you can say, oh, look, don't do this. Oh, yes, dad. Yes, mom. I won't do it. But then very next minute, you see the person doing that. And you cannot do anything other than or outside complaining. They'll tell you, look, we run a federal system. Mr. President, I'm not answerable to you. I'm answerable to the people who elected me. And my loyalty is to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not your words. Not your commands. So these issues are there. So we need a commitment. We need a reorientation. We need to know that our people are dying. We need to know that our people can no longer farm. We need to know that our people can no longer travel safely. All of these things should push us to commit to securing this country. We shouldn't be making money and advancing our political interests at the expense of the welfare and well-being of our people, the safety and security of our people. Our governors should know this. Hey, a lot of times you hear people there, when we talk of this insecurity, they blame the president. They blame the federal government. But I have not seen anywhere in Section 14 sub 2b of the Constitution, which says the primary responsibility of the government is the security and welfare of the people. I have not seen anywhere where it is said that this is restricted to the government at the center, to the federal government. Government includes local governments, state governments, and the federal government. So they all share responsibility in securing the land, in securing their people. Like the late Senator Francis Acton Zerebe said, concerning federal and state roads. He said, look, wherever a road is, however that road is designated, it is people from a particular state who use it. So, Governor, don't sit down and fold your hands and say, look, it's a federal road. Who are the people who are owned by the federal government who use the road? We all belong to states. Then our states now belong to the federation. So federal roads within Nasarawa are used by Nasarawa indigenes too. Federal roads within Cross River are used by Cross River indigenes. So federal roads within Kaduna are used by Kaduna indigenes. Not people from. So state governments should take steps to fix bad roads within their states for the good of all. State governments should take steps to secure communities within their states for the good of all, indigenes and non-indigenes. We should stop pushing the ball, oh, federal government, oh, federal government. We all have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility to play, to ensure that our society is safe and secure for all of us.
Barrister, do you think the federal police have failed? Because if you're calling for the establishment of state police, it obviously shows that the federal police may have failed. From your own taking.
Well, I think this question will only become necessary if I was ex officio an advocate of state policing. But like I said, I mean, for the past 10 years plus, I've been against state policing for two reasons. Number one, because of the inability of state governments to fund it. Number two, because of the likely abuse by state government. But where we are right now, I won't want to be part of any arrangement that would seem as if, oh, these people are benefiting from this insecurity or they're insensitive about it. That's why they're against state police. So let's join those who are saying, let's have it. It may work. it may work. It may work. I have my fears, but my fears may not necessarily come to pass.
But I put it to you, just like you normally say in court. If you have option and you're talking about plan B, it means plan A may have failed. Has the federal police failed, Barrister?
Well, with by my training and practice, I hardly answer questions with yes or no. But because you have put me in a tight corner, I will say no. I do not think the federal police has failed. I was with you sitting on this same seat about a fortnight ago, and I said, if we prioritize the welfare and well-being of our security personnel, particularly personnel of the Nigerian police force, we kit them properly, get them motivated, I said we'll get the best from them. I'm sure you have records that men of the Nigerian police force, officers of the Nigerian police force, who has had the rare privilege of going to serve outside this country, came back home with a lot of commendations and accolades. You know, so our police personnel do not lack the capacity to serve, but there are things we need to do to get them motivated. Look, if you give one ream of paper to a police division in 6 months, tell me why police people will not ask suspects and complainants for money to buy paper, for statements to be written, for money to photocopy bail application forms. Tell me why. Right? But if you make enough provision, you go to a police division, you don't have a functional photocopier. Tell me why police people will not collect money from complainants or from suspects to go and photocopy documents. Ask yourself, why is this not happening within the EFCC? The EFCC can send its personnel from here to the United States of America to carry out an investigation without anybody asking the complainant for a penny. Because provision is made for all of that. But is the same thing happening with the Nigerian police force? No. Is there any guarantee that the states will be able to fund their police to the extent that they will not ask complainants for money for travels to go and effect arrest? To the extent that they will not ask complainants for money to photocopy documents? They will not ask complainants to pay for statement forms? So we must, in our appropriation processes, we must think highly of the Nigerian police force. That which we do for the military. Look, I have hardly seen a Nigerian army vehicle broken down on the road or with worn-out tires. I've hardly seen a Nigerian Navy vehicle with worn-out tires or parked somewhere in a checkpoint, not function with broken glasses. No, I've hardly seen that. But this is a common feature when it comes to the Nigerian police. I do not think that it is a genotype of those who are in the Nigerian police that is responsible for this. Because the capacity to maintain their properties, their facilities, is not there. So if we think of them in the process of appropriation, in the process of budgeting, the way we think of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the DSS, and all of that, things will be better. Even the civil defense. The civil defense seems to be better funded than the Nigerian police.
I think so.
Oh, yes. Oh, those people you see under Area 1 bridge, beautiful women, they just park their vehicles with their very clean uniforms, just sit in their vehicles from about 8 to 4 p.m. and they drive home. They pay them better than the police people who are of the same rank with them, who are everywhere. Sir, have you ever seen a Nigerian army personnel with a rifle on a bike going to his or her duty post? No. But it's a common feature with the Nigerian police. You see a policeman on a commercial motorcycle with a rifle. You see a policeman taking along
Soliciting.
with a rifle. You see a policeman on the road, flagging vehicles down, looking for a free ride, heading to his or her duty post with a rifle. No. We need to do what will clothe our police personnel with some form of dignity and self-confidence.
Police barracks are nothing to write home.
No, they are
Have you
nothing to write home
visited
about.
police
A lot of junior policemen, rank and file. A lot of them sleep in broken down and abandoned vehicles in police stations. So a man who sleeps in a vehicle, who does not rest properly, the next day is handed a rifle to do something, very little thing to trigger him off, will get him annoyed. And he will misuse his firearms, probably. So there are causative factors to all of these problems.
So while we
need
think
to
of
address them. Once we have a routine on the welfare of our police personnel, they will help us solve these problems. You don't send a policeman with an AK-47 rifle with just 2 live ammunition to go and face bandits who have a cache of arms
with a torch
and ammunition. Yes, with a, I mean, and all of that. So there are things we need to do. If we do these things, we may not be thinking of option B. Let's do the proper thing. So we're not thinking of option B. I am sure, I don't want to push it to that extent, but I didn't want to push to the extent I'm going now, but let me say this in order to make a point. I do not think that any private television or radio station in Nigeria today is as funded as the Nigerian Television Authority or the Nigerian Radio Corporation. But the output of the private stations is not in any way, in terms of quality, comparable to what we get from the highly funded government media houses. So what makes the difference? Commitment. In the private sector, people are committed. The resources there are not as much as we have in the government outfits. But there's a commitment to duty. Nobody in this outfit, for instance, will wake up on a Monday morning and say, today I don't feel like going to work. No. When government will do that, no private school where people pay hundreds and millions has staff as qualified as the staff we have in government schools. But is the output the same? No. The output in the private schools is better because of commitment and follow-up. Right? So these are the things we're talking about. They are private security outfits which deliver professional security services because of management, because of commitment by the people who own these outfits. But when it comes to the one that belongs to all of us, oh, he's my brother, he's my godson. You can't punish him for coming to work late. You can't punish him for wearing police uniform with white canvas. He's my son. He got recruited because of me. Let him be. Nobody does that in the private sector. So we must try to introduce what we see in the private sector in the public sector. So things will work. The alternative is not a proliferation, is that the word, of security outfits. Now we are talking of state police. One day we'll all wake up and they'll say, oh, look, the solution will come if we have local government police. And after that, you have Bokomo, Taib, Asana police.
the law. So are we of the opinion, or should we agree that the police in Nigeria are really, really underfunded?
They are underfunded. I mean, that's the point I've been making overtly and covertly. The police is underfunded.
Because as you rightly said, police who are deployed to EFCC are all from the Nigerian police.
They're from the Nigerian police, but they do very well.
They do very well.
They do very well.
So what's the problem?
Underfunding.
from the federal government.
Yes, underfunding and mismanagement of what is given to them.
So
Now, sir, and I say again, we are part of the problem. You have an assistant commissioner of police, you have a chief superintendent of police, who is a divisional police officer or something somewhere, who is a member of your family, who is a member of your church, who worships in the same, or who prays in the same mosques with you, who comes from the same, who lives in the same neighborhood with you, building a very big house, and you start praising the person as being very successful. Meanwhile, it is money that is meant for the running of the office that person heads, that the person is using to do all of these things, and we keep praising them and giving them awards. Media houses will give them awards, so policeman of the year, this of the year, and all of it. We encourage the thievery and all of that. So by the time they take all of these things, what will be left to from the little that is appropriated and budgeted for them? People in the helm of affairs help themselves from it, and at the end of the day, very little, if any, is left for the doing of the work. So these are the things we must look at. The mindset of returns. People making returns. Oh, if you want to be given a good division, you must make good returns to people at the state command. If you want to be given a good command, you must make good returns to people at the force headquarters. This will not help us. Because the person you are making returns to can hardly pick up his or her biro to act on any complaint against you. That's the problem. But see, we all pretend we know where the problems are coming from. But we all pretend because we want to be good boys and good girls. I am not ready anymore to be a good boy. I'm ready to say it the way it is. Let us, saying it in local parlance, touchlight ourselves properly so that people will sit up and do what they ought to do, that which they are being paid for.
Nigerian police deserved more in their dealings in the country. The federal government should increase their wages and see how they are well equipped. A little boy told me that one identity of a police barrack is like the motor park, because you see a lot of vehicles that are not serviced, and they find them sometime. And even their barracks, police barracks, just something that we think government should do. While they're thinking of plan B, they should take care of the first baby in the hand. Your last word, the law.
We all desire, as Nigerians and residents of this country, Nigeria, to have safe and secure society to live in, and do our businesses and raise our families. So the responsibility is all ours to ensure the police is properly taken care of. The responsibility is all ours to ensure everyone who has a policing responsibility discharges that responsibility dutifully and patriotically. You know, I close up by saying the legislature should do its part. The people in the executive have spoken that we need to have a state police, so the legislature should do its part. The bulk is, I think, now moving to them. They should do its part by tinkering with Section 153 of the Constitution, so we can have a clear ground upon which to stand to create police forces for our states. And governors should also be made to understand that if they use the police as a cudgel, as a weapon of oppression and suppression and intimidation, that max 8 years, they will leave office and someone else will use the state police force as a cudgel against them.
Barrister Max, thanks very much for finding time to be with us.
Thanks for having me.
The call for the establishment of state policing has been on the increase, and we are told that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and some of his governors have agreed to find a lasting solution in the security in the country by looking at state policing, which is said to be Plan B. My guest has said if police are properly equipped and taken care, they will deliver according to their constitution. That's the size of today's edition of the program Midday Discourse on Global TV. My name is Agbo Clinton Ayuk. Join us tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. If you did enjoy the program, same time, same station, right here in Abuja. Have a wonderful and safe day ahead of you.